Here is a framework for the order in which you can access money for short-term expenses in general if you're really in a crunch, as well as some other ideas for reducing expenses. And again, the prescription varies a bit depending on your financial capacity. Obviously, if you have your income, that's your primary source of cash flow. But as we discussed in the last video, you also need to ensure to review your expenses, prioritize what stays, and make trade-offs about which expenses get outright eliminated or reduced. Whether you start to cut into your expenses or not will depend on the urgency of your situation. If you have no financial cushion, and especially if you think your income is in imminent danger, you'll want to start making reductions in your expenses right now. If your household loses income through reduced work or loss of employment, and your expenses now exceed your income sources, the first place to access funds would be an emergency fund if you have one. That's what they're there for, but if you don't have one, now is not the time to worry about that. There's no point. Let's think about what your realistic options are at this point. If you did sign up for any type of credit balance protection insurance, you may have a benefit where your minimum monthly repayments are covered by these policies if you become unemployed involuntarily. Check to see, and also check to see how to claim the benefit if you have it. That may save you some additional cash flow right now, which is sorely needed. File your taxes early. While the tax filing deadline has been pushed out, you may still want to file your taxes early, especially if you have a refund coming to you. It may also allow you to get the appropriate income support from any measures announced by the government in response to COVID-19. Now, everybody's situation is different, so I'll lump a bunch of sources of funds into a general category of not ideal, but do this before racking up credit card balances. One option would be to look at accessing funds through any low interest rate sources of debt that you might have access to. So this would be like a secured line of credit or unsecured, which would have a slightly higher interest rate as there is no collateral. Generally, the repayments are going to be interest only, meaning that the minimum required monthly payments are going to be low. But be careful not to use it more than you absolutely need to. You may have access to a lot of credit, and by the way, that may be changing, but you have to use it only sparingly. For now, this can be an effective cash management tool for short-term cash crunches, however. So long as you can keep on top of things, you could use balance transfer offers to buy you a payment cycle or two if things get really bad. This is when a financial institution offers a promotion to transfer your balance from a higher interest rate source of debt to their institution, usually with a low interest rate introductory offer. Be careful. It can turn into a slippery slope, and be mindful of what those transfer fees might be. Also, this may actually become harder to do, as I suspect consumer credit is going to get tighter going forward. Another option is to obviously see what support is available from friends and family. It's a tough road to go down, but if you have parents who have benefited from a major bull market in housing, for example, they may be able to help you out if they're sitting on a lot of home equity, for example. Every family situation is different, and this may not be an option for you. And also be mindful that friends and family may be struggling right now too. Sell stuff. Toys go first, then the harder stuff if you need to. Be proactive in contacting institutions, businesses, or other people that you owe money to. You may be able to negotiate payment deferrals or payment reductions. And this is not only for helping managing your cash flow, but also for theirs in the case of small suppliers who are also nervous about their cash flow. Financial institutions have indicated that they may be able to offer different types of assistance. This may come in the form of mortgage payment deferrals, maybe a loan, like a bridge loan, for example. But note that in these early days, there's a lot of broken telephone. You may need to try multiple times, unfortunately, before you can actually connect with someone who is up to speed on the institution's ever-evolving policies. If you have long-term savings, you may not have the luxury of agonizing over whether or not you want to sell them or not because of what's happening in investment markets. I will post a separate video on that for those who don't have short-term funding emergencies right now. But for those of you that do, of course, you're going to tap into this if you need to. If you can, sell just what you need to access in the short term. And also, if your time horizon for your long-term savings is now short-term, you need to reevaluate your risk profile if you think you may need to continually tap into this source of funds. Once you've gotten through all the above options, and there may be more, you may be left to carrying or increasing the balances on your credit cards. Hopefully that would only be temporary. But these are last resort options. And sometimes you have to do what you have to do. I get it. Don't beat yourself up over that right now. It is what it is. You may find that you'll be in a position to miss some payments as well. And it's going to be very stressful for some people. And again, it's better to contact those creditors first. You may have more options than you think. Don't forget to check out my previous video, which talked about some of the other steps that you can do to make sure that you have as much runway as you can for your situation and for you to get some clarity on your financial situation. It's very important to do that. If your situation is very overwhelming to you, it is okay to talk to an insolvency trustee. I have never heard of someone contacting one too early. I've only ever heard of people who wish they had made the call sooner. I hope everyone is managing the best that they can right now. Stay tuned for more videos. I've had questions from people who want to know what to do with their investments, who don't have a need to access these funds for emergency spending right now, but rather want to know what to do for their long-term investing. That will be coming up shortly in another video. And if you have any specific questions, please do send them in to me, and I'll do my best to get to them all.